First story. I didn't buy my youngest daughter a cake at my middle daughter's birthday party. So she ruined my middle child's cake for the party being unfair. And my ungrateful middle child sulked and demanded to ground my youngest. So I canceled my middle child to teach her respect, took away her presents, and grounded her. Now everyone has left me. This happened last Saturday, and I've been catching some flack since then, mostly from my oldest daughter, so I figured I'd bring it here. My daughter 16 just turned 16, and we threw her a birthday party. Nothing fancy, just a nice gathering at home with some friends, snacks, music, and decorations. She was excited and planned it all herself. She told me and my husband exactly what she wanted. A cookies and cream cake just for her, chocolate and vanilla cupcakes for the guests, and the one thing she really asked for was a new MacBook. Her last one got broken a few weeks ago by her younger sister, 12, so it wasn't an unreasonable ask. We agreed we could afford it, so we got it. Let me say this. My 12-year-old has a sweet tooth from hell. I'm not saying that to be funny. She has this habit of sneaking desserts before anyone else gets to them, and it's been an issue in our family for years now. Birthdays, holidays, random weekend cakes, we've had stuff go missing or half-eaten before the actual event starts. It's like she can't help herself. We've tried addressing it, both me and my husband. Timeout, grounding, even therapy a few years ago, when it was affecting her school behavior. She's not a bad kid, she's just impulsive, dramatic, and honestly, a little spoiled because we let a lot slide when she was younger. I'll own that. Anyway, back to the party. The whole week leading up to it, my 16-year-old was really putting effort into the details. She cleaned the house, made a playlist, and printed out some DIY decorations from Pinterest. She kept showing me cake pictures and asking if we thought her friends would like the setup. I was genuinely proud of her. She's always been the responsible one out of our 3 girls, and we don't hear a lot of complaints from her. Saturday morning comes. Everything's ready. Husband picks up the cake, and I go out and buy the MacBook and get it gift wrapped. My 16-year-old is glowing. She's texting her friends all morning, FaceTiming one of her besties, and just in a good mood overall. You could tell she was really looking forward to the evening. Then comes the first hiccup. The 12-year-old starts whining about wanting a cupcake. The party hadn't started yet. Nobody had arrived. Music wasn't even playing. I told her she could have won once guests showed up just 10 more minutes. That's it. She immediately threw a tantrum. Screamed that it wasn't fair, stomped up the stairs, slammed her door. Not new behavior, so I didn't react much. My husband rolled his eyes, and we figured she'd cool off. She's always had this habit of turning small things into personal attacks. "You hate me," is her go-to line when she doesn't get her way. Now here's some context. This wasn't the first time she pulled something like this during her sister's birthdays. When our oldest turned 18, we had a backyard BBQ with a cake she picked out from a bakery she loved. Right before we brought it out, my 12-year-old, she was 9, then took a huge spoonful of the frosting off the back and ate it. We were all furious, but she just cried until we backed off. Another time, she opened one of her older sister's gifts early because she thought it was hers. It's like she gets overwhelmed when things aren't about her. So this wasn't new territory. But I didn't expect what happened next. Guests started showing up. My 16-year-old greeted them, took pictures, and played hostess like a pro. I was proud of how composed she was despite her sister's earlier fit. The 12-year-old came back down about 15 minutes later, calm, and asked again, "Can I have a cupcake now?" At this point, I figured the party had started. I said yes. She went into the kitchen, and I assumed that was that. I didn't go with her and didn't supervise. My mistake, maybe, but at that moment, I was busy helping people settle in and trying to make sure everything ran smoothly. 10 or 15 minutes passed. Everyone's mingling. Music's on, food's being passed around, and my 16-year-old decides it's time to bring out her cake so we can light the candles and sing. She heads into the kitchen to get the cake. She's not gone 5 seconds when I hear her scream like a real, full-body scream, and then the sound of something being slammed. I rush in and find her standing there crying, fists clenched, and the cake. The cake is wrecked. There's a huge chunk cut right out of the middle. Not even neatly. Just a jagged scoop taken out with a spoon or something. Smears of frosting across the counter. And sitting on the table next to the ruined cake is a fork and a napkin with half-eaten cake on it. My 16-year-old looks at me like her whole day just got spat on. She doesn't even have to say it. I already know who did it. My 12-year-old is sitting in the living room, licking her fingers and pretending like nothing happened. My 16-year-old walks out of the kitchen shaking, tears streaming, and says loud enough for everyone there, She ruined my cake. She always does this. She can't let me have anything. I told her, we can order another cake. This isn't something to fall apart over. It's cake. Calm down. That pissed her off even more. She yelled that this wasn't just about cake, that her little sister always does this kind of thing, and we always brush it off. She brought up the 18th birthday cake incident, the gift opening, some Easter chocolates that were hers, but her sister ate, and even mentioned how we made excuses back when the 12-year-old smashed her old MacBook by accident. She got mad during an argument and threw something that hit it. I didn't like where it was going. She started getting heated and aggressive. I told her to stop talking like that about her sister in front of guests, and to let it go before she ruined her own party. She snapped at her sister directly, saying, "When it's your birthday, I'll destroy your cake and see how you like it." Her voice was shaking, but full of actual anger. She wasn't joking or just venting. She meant it. At that point, I stepped in. I told her she was way out of line threatening her sister, and she needed to apologize immediately. She said no. I warned her that if she didn't apologize, she was getting grounded. She crossed her arms and said, "I'm not apologizing for being mad that she keeps ruining everything I care about." I grounded her on the spot and told everyone the party was over. People awkwardly started leaving. She screamed at me that I was siding with her sister again, said I always excuse her behavior, and that I never let her feel anything without calling her dramatic. I took the MacBook gift back because I wasn't giving a present after she acted like that. Later that night, we found out the 12-year-old ate the cake because she heard her sister say it was just for her and thought it was unfair that she didn't get to share it. She admitted she didn't even ask because she assumed we'd say no. She wasn't crying or remorseful, she just shrugged and said she thought we'd get another cake anyway. My husband gave her a warning, but didn't really punish her beyond telling her she was not supposed to do that. I didn't push it further because I felt the bigger issue was how the 16-year-old reacted. My 22-year-old who was there called me a jerk. She said I punished the wrong person, that I've always given the youngest a pass because that's just how she is, and then expected her older sisters to deal with it. She says I embarrassed my 16-year-old on her birthday for being rightfully upset. She said the younger one never faces consequences long enough to learn anything, and the resentment is growing for a reason. My oldest also pointed out that I ended the party when my 16-year-old didn't even do anything physical, she was just furious. She thinks I only shut it down because I didn't want guests to see how bad the younger one behaved and risk looking like bad parents. She basically said we sacrificed the older one's feelings to keep the younger one from looking like a problem child in public. My husband is fully on my side and says I did what needed to be done to prevent things from escalating. He says a disrespectful teen yelling at a younger sibling in front of guests was unacceptable, and grounding her was appropriate. But ever since it happened, my 16-year-old has been distant. She barely talks to us, goes straight to her room, eats separately, and has made it clear she thinks we chose her sister over her. When I tried talking to her about it calmly, she said, "I'm used to being second place here. I just thought maybe on my birthday I wouldn't be." Then she shut her door. I still don't think I'm wrong to discipline disrespectful behavior. But I'll admit everyone questioning me is making me wonder if I handled it the right way, or if I really did ignore a bigger issue. I don't regret grounding her for threatening her sister. I don't regret ending the party when it turned into drama. But should I have punished the 12-year-old more? Should I have let the 16-year-old express her anger without calling it disrespect? Was taking the MacBook back too far? I don't know if I was enforcing boundaries or just blind to favoritism. Ada? Comments. Comment 1. YTA. You straight up punished your daughter for reacting to years of neglect. Like, seriously. You admitted this isn't the first time the 12-year-old has pulled crap like this. She's ruined birthdays, gifts, and candy, and even broke a damn MacBook, and what does she get? A talking to and a shrug. Meanwhile, your 16-year-old says one sentence out of anger, and you cancel her party and take back her gift. You're not parenting. You're managing appearances. That whole "don't ruin your own party" bit? No, you ruined it. And you didn't do it because she was being disrespectful, you did it because she broke the image you wanted to project in front of the guests. And don't get me started on the MacBook thing. That was the only thing she asked for. You bought it knowing her last one got wrecked by her sister. Then you used it as a punishment tool because she stood up for herself. Your 22-year-old nailed it. You enable the youngest and expect the older ones to be mature and take the hit every time. I'd be distant too if I lived in a house where I got punished for having emotions. Comment 2. Honestly, I don't think this is as black and white as people are making it. I'm leaning YTA except for your 16-year-old. Your younger kid clearly has impulse control issues. At 12, she should absolutely know better. But you also admitted there's a history here. Maybe even behavioral stuff you never properly dealt with. That's on you and your husband. That said, your 16-year-old's reaction was understandable, but also dangerous. Threatening to destroy someone else's birthday isn't nothing. It's not just words when it's coming from a kid who's clearly at the edge emotionally. That's not disrespect. That's emotional distress. Instead of grounding her, you should have seen that as a signal. She's drowning in resentment, and no one's throwing her a rope. Taking the MacBook back was petty. Canceling the party was worse. But letting a kid fester in anger for years until they blow up. That's the real failure here. You don't have a disrespectful teen, you have a neglected one. Comment 3. NTA. People are dragging you. But I see where you're coming from. Your 16-year-old flipped the switch in front of guests and went into a full meltdown. Threatening revenge in public. That's a line. I've got teens. I get it, emotions run high. But that doesn't mean you let them go unchecked just because the other kid was wrong first. You don't get to throw verbal bombs because you're pissed. You handled it then and there like a parent should. Yeah, the 12-year-old was in the wrong too, and you probably should have grounded both. But I respect that you chose not to let the party turn into a circus of screaming teenagers. Guests were already there. One kid was acting up. The other threatened escalation. You made a snap call. Your oldest kid sounds bitter, honestly. Probably still mad about how you raised the younger one differently. I'd say now's the time for serious family talks, not Reddit judgment. It's not about who's the RC hole. It's about fixing the cracks before they become permanent. Update. I didn't plan to update, but things have escalated beyond reason. Since my post, a lot has happened, and I've reached a point where I feel like I'm being ganged up on for trying to maintain peace in my household. After the party ended and I grounded my 16-year-old, she shut down completely. I gave her space. I didn't yell, and I didn't drag it out. I told her she needed to apologize for threatening her sister, and that we could revisit the birthday conversation if she came back with a different attitude. She didn't. Instead, 2 days later, I came home to find she had packed a bag and left to stay with my oldest daughter, 22, who lives in the city about 30 minutes away. No heads up. No conversation. I got a text saying, "I'll be back when people here care how I feel." She's been gone a week now. My 22-year-old has decided she's the new authority figure and is refusing to let her sister return unless I apologize for the emotional damage and ground the 12-year-old for equal time. She also accused me of enabling favoritism, emotional neglect, and treating the 16-year-old like the scapegoat. I'm not doing any of that. Let me be absolutely clear. I didn't ground my 16-year-old for being upset. I didn't even ground her for yelling. I grounded her because she publicly threatened her sister. That's a line in this house. I don't reward tantrums from a 12-year-old, and I don't tolerate rage from a 16-year-old. This isn't about who ate the cake. This is about how they both responded. The 12-year-old acted impulsively and selfishly, yes. The 16-year-old responded with threats. I punished the behavior, not the emotion. Now, since everyone's treating my youngest like she's the golden child, let me tell you what actually happened. A few days after the party, I overheard the 12-year-old talking on FaceTime with a friend. She was bragging that she ate the cake because it was only for her anyway. I asked her directly if that was true. She said yes. I asked why. She said, "I was mad it wasn't for sharing, so I made it fair. So it wasn't an accident. It wasn't impulsive. It was spite. I made her write an apology letter to her sister. It was sincere. I made her rewrite it when it sounded sarcastic. It took 3 drafts. I planned to give it to the 16-year-old, but she blocked me and hasn't responded to any texts. The 22-year-old read it, said it was pathetic, and never gave it to her. Meanwhile, my husband has flipped sides. The same man who backed me at the party is now suddenly pushing to ground the 12-year-old, take away her tablet, cancel her weekend sleepover, and show the older girls she's not above consequences. Not because he believes in it, he just doesn't want our older daughters to stay mad. He tried forcing the 12-year-old to apologize face-to-face and even grabbed her arm when she refused. He told her she was the reason our family is falling apart and threatened to throw out her toys. I stepped in and shut it down. I'm not okay with forced apologies. I'm not okay with punishing a child just to appease teenagers who think parenting should be handled like courtroom sentencing. What she did was wrong. But making her say sorry while she's crying and scared isn't justice. It's emotional performance for the older kids. He and I fought. Badly. He told me I was shielding the wrong kid, and that maybe he's been too hands-off for too long. I told him if he wanted to parent now, he could do it without bullying a 12-year-old into submission. He packed a bag that night and left to stay with his brother. I haven't seen him since. Then came my mother-in-law. She called me 2 days after the blow-up and said she wanted to make things right by throwing the 16-year-old a second party at her house, with her planning it. She said she'd invite the friends, order a new cake, and even get her a new laptop since she lost hers over a misunderstanding. She also told me I wasn't invited. I told her absolutely not. First, I am alive, and I am still my daughter's parent. I do not co-sign a second birthday party just to make up for a situation she refuses to talk to me about. Second, I don't reward silence and sulking. She wants space, fine. But she doesn't get to play victim, avoid accountability, and then get handed a party on a silver platter while pretending she was emotionally tortured. I told my mill if she throws that party, we'll have a bigger problem than a broken cake. Everyone thinks I'm the villain because I won't bend. But I've raised 3 kids. I know when a lesson needs to be taught, and I know when people are using emotions as leverage. That's what's happening here. The 12-year-old is grounded now not because people yelled at me, but because I decided she needed a break from distractions to understand what she did. No parties, no TV, no sweets for a week. She is writing daily reflections on consequences. Not because the 16-year-old demanded it, because I implemented it as her mother. I will not be told how to parent by my kids. The 16-year-old hasn't come home. The 22-year-old says I've got one last chance before she cuts contact. I said she can do what she wants. I don't raise my kids to believe love comes with ultimatums. If she's that invested in hijacking my parenting, maybe she needs to reflect on her own reasons. Right now, it's me and my 12-year-old in the house. Quiet. Weirdly peaceful. I still won't give the MacBook back yet. I told my 16-year-old it's waiting when she's ready to have a real conversation without conditions. Not when the rest of the family tells her what she should demand. I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be. But I will not apologize for maintaining consistency. I do not favor anyone. I do not reward emotional blackmail. And I do not let mob pressure dictate what consequences look like in my home. Believe what you want. But I still don't think I'm the arsehole. Comments. Comment 1. Holy SHT. You really doubled down, huh? Not just on the punishment, but on everything. Let me guess you still think you're the only adult in the room, while your entire family, including your husband, is telling you otherwise. Your kid didn't threaten her sister with a knife or fists. She was blowing off steam in the middle of being humiliated and heartbroken. But you treated it like a courtroom offense. And let's talk about your logic. You refused to punish your 12-year-old because she acted on her urges, but then grounded her later for what? Optics. Now you're doing it to prove you're not being swayed. You didn't just lose your daughter on her birthday, you lost her trust. And judging by your husband leaving, your grip on this whole "I'm the only one seeing clearly" act is slipping too. But hey, keep standing your ground. Let's see what ground is left when you're standing alone. Comment 2. This whole update feels like a custody case being tried in real time. And OP's playing both judge and executioner. I don't think you're abusive. I don't even think you're intentionally favoring the 12-year-old. What I do think is that you've been playing triage parenting for too long, slapping band-aids over drama and moving on without ever examining the rot underneath. The fact that the 12-year-old intentionally ruined the cake to punish her sister for not sharing. That's a flashing red sign. That's not sugar cravings. That's a power play. And you still refuse to see the depth of it until too late. You made her write a letter no one wanted to read. That's not resolution. That's paperwork. Meanwhile, your oldest is acting like your co-parent, and your middle child left home. Your youngest is unrepentant and learned nothing. Even your husband pulled the eject lever. That's not family discipline, it's collapse. At some point you have to ask, is your household structured? Or are you just the last one refusing to admit it's burning down? Update. Posting this on my profile because people keep piling on my daughter without giving real advice. They keep calling her spoiled, saying I'm raising a monster, that she'll grow up to be a narcissist or worse. And while I don't agree with most of that, she's 12. Not some villain. I do know this has gotten completely out of control. Since my last post, things have only escalated. My husband. I think he's halfway out the door. My 22-year-old. She's made it her mission to sabotage me. My 16-year-old. She broke into my home, stole the MacBook, and left again. And now I'm terrified she's being used in some half-baked custody stunt by my own daughter and mother-in-law. Let me back up. 2 nights ago, I woke up and noticed the window was unlocked. I checked the house, and sure enough the MacBook was gone from where I'd been keeping it in my closet. A neighbor's camera caught my 16-year-old in through the gate around 2 a.m. I didn't report it yet. I've made it very clear that I'm not above doing so if this continues. Not to get her arrested, but to scare her straight. To remind her that boundaries exist, even when you're mad. She's still staying with my 22-year-old, who has now made it a full-blown campaign to paint me as the villain. She blocked my number, posted cryptic garbage online. And this is where it gets twisted, has started talking to my mother-in-law about getting temporary custody of my 16-year-old. I'm not kidding. She's actually researching legal guardianship like she's planning to adopt a stray. And with my Mills money and obsession with undermining me, I wouldn't be shocked if they tried something. What terrifies me is that, because my daughter is 16, a judge might listen to her. Even if she's being manipulated. Even if she's angry and being promised the world. So yes, I could threaten her with a police report over the stolen laptop. I could use that to make her come home. But I also know it won't fix the damage. She'll hate me more. It won't rebuild the bridge between her and her sister. And it sure as hell won't fix the rot the 22-year-old has been spreading. Let's talk about her for a second. My oldest. I moved out at 18 because I couldn't take it anymore daughter. She's not a saint. She's vindictive. She's smug. And she has always had a problem with how I parent her. She doesn't even try to hide it. She's convinced I favor the youngest, and I won't lie. I probably do show her more softness. Not because she's better. Not because I excuse her mistakes. But because I see myself in her. She's kind. She's bubbly. She loves people. And that party, the one she helped decorate for and counted down to for weeks, that moment was supposed to be hers. And now it's being turned into this big moral debate, where everyone's screaming about fairness like I'm some evil tyrant picking favorites. Yes, I've been softer on her. Yes, I've extended her more patience than I gave the other two. But it's not favoritism. It's not injustice. It's parenting a child as a child. What do people expect me to do? Ground a 12-year-old for an eternity? Take away her childhood because she acted selfishly, just like every other kid does at some point? I grounded her. I took away her sweets, her TV, and her social time. I made her write reflection letters. I made her acknowledge that she hurt her sister. But people think I should have humiliated her, made an example of her, or punished her to match the anger of a teenager acting like a wounded toddler. And that's why I grounded the 16-year-old. Because she is old enough to know better. She didn't just get mad, she threatened her sister. She escalated it in front of guests. She ruined her own party by lashing out. I didn't ground her because I love her less. I grounded her because I expect more from her. Anyway, remember that party I shut down? Yeah, my mill decided to throw another one behind my back. She rented an actual venue, invited the exact same friends, got a massive fancy cake, the whole deal. And you know how I found out? Through photos on social media. Like I was some irrelevant outsider, like I didn't even exist. They tagged everyone, friends, cousins, even some random aunt I barely know, but not a single mention of me. No call, no text, nothing. It felt like I died, and no one bothered to tell me. That cut deeper than I thought it would. So yesterday, I took my 12-year-old out for a mother-daughter day. Just us. Ice cream, shopping, small things. I didn't post about it. I didn't rub it in anyone's face. I just needed to feel like a mother again. To someone who still lets me. My husband came. I invited him. He showed up. But he didn't say much. Not to me, not to our daughter. He just sort of sat there, cold and detached. Like he was watching from a distance. Afterwards, he told me we need to talk. That this isn't working. That maybe we both need to move on. I'm trying to stay calm. But the truth is I'm scared. Not of being alone. I've raised kids. I've held the house together for years while he let me take the lead on discipline and on managing chaos. I'm scared because I feel like the world is moving without me. My daughter has vanished into the arms of someone who hates me. My husband is half gone. And the only one left is a 12-year-old trying to be happy while I unravel everything to keep us afloat. I know people will still call me controlling, cold, biased. But what they don't understand is that I've been consistent. I've punished behavior, not emotions. I've set boundaries, even when it made me the villain. I've parented, not negotiated. So yes, I'm overwhelmed. Yes, I may have shown more kindness to my youngest, because she reminds me of who I used to be before all this turned into a war zone. But no, I'm not unfair. And no, I'm not going to let emotional manipulation rewrite the facts. What I need now is actual advice, not judgment, not piling on. If you've been in this situation, if your older kids turned on you, if your marriage cracked from parenting fights, how did you secure yourself? How do you protect one child without losing the others? Because I'm not losing another one. I'm done with guilt parenting. I want real answers now. Help me. Comments. Comment 1. People saying you're favoring the 12-year-old don't understand how parenting actually works. The difference between a kid acting childish and a teen acting childish is massive. One is expected. The other is concerning. You did discipline the younger one, just not in a way that lets the 16-year-old feel avenged. That's not justice. That's revenge. You're dealing with a house full of egos, and your husband being non-committal and weak is making it worse. He's shifting blame now because he doesn't want to be seen as the bad guy. And you're hosting parties behind your back and trying to play replacement mom. That's the most disrespectful, power-hungry SHT I've ever seen from a grandparent. I'd cut her off permanently. You're not the arsehole here. You're a mom trying to keep one kid safe, one kid stable, and one foot out of family court. Do what you have to do to protect your home. Comment 2. Yes. Finally, a mom who isn't held hostage by her damn kids' tantrums. Your 22-year-old wants custody. Let her come try. Watch how fast that plan falls apart when rent, school attendance, therapy, and real consequences hit. I'd love to see her explain to a judge why stealing property, alienating a parent, and throwing secret parties is supportive parenting. And that husband. You're already a single parent. He's just haunting the place. Let him leave. One less traitor under your roof. You're not the problem. They're just pissed you won't collapse for them. Keep the MacBook. Keep your spine. And keep receipts. They want war. Give them hell. Comment 3. Good. You should be thinking about reporting your own kid. You want to play grown-up, steal SHT in the middle of the night, and break into my house. Then you face grown-up consequences. People screaming about, oh no, she's traumatized, while she's out here robbing you blind and getting cheered on by your other daughter and F that. If a judge takes her from you over that, then the system's already broken. You know what? F the 22-year-old. That little stunt with the party and the laptop was war. She's not just undermining you, she's replacing you. And she thinks she's a hero for it. These people don't want a family. They want to run a mutiny and call it healing. Burn the bridge. You can't save people who have already decided you're the villain in their sob story. Focus on the one daughter who isn't staging coups. Everyone else can get in line or get lost. Second story. My entitled dad is refusing to attend my wedding because I'm now doing it on American soil. Some background. My father is a bit of a nationalist. He's a little much. I love my country, but not like he does. We don't agree on much, to be honest. My father wasn't around much until my teenage years. My parents separated when I was 6. I planned most of the wedding with my mother. We decided, since I don't have many friends, a cruise wedding would work best for us. And it was well within our budget. I want a tiny ceremony and figured this would make it easy for everyone. I had told my father ahead of time that we were probably going to go on a cruise. He said that was fine with him. Skip forward to now. We're about 7 months out from the wedding, and we're trying to put the down payments for everything we need now. I call my father to confirm information with him in terms of pricing and such, since he is helping us pay. He asks me where the stops on the cruise were. I explain that we're going to the Bahamas. He asked if any of those places were American territories. I told him no. He then starts hooting and hollering that his daughter is going to be married on American soil. He refuses to get on that ship, and he's never leaving this country. And how he thought we were doing an Alaskan cruise. I was a bit shocked by this outburst and got a bit upset. He told me I was being too emotional. We fought back and forth for a bit, and it ended with him saying, if you work hard to convince me and don't pout about it, I might change my mind. Before hanging up on me. Now I'm just sitting here, and I don't really know what to do. I want my father there, but I already set my heart on this cruise. So do I continue with it and just say screw my dad? Or do I spend the next 6 months begging him to come on this cruise with me? TLDR. My dad refuses to go on a cruise off American soil for my wedding and wants me to try to convince him otherwise. Comments. Commenter. So do I continue with it and just say screw my dad? Or do I spend the next 6 months begging him to come on this cruise with me? Option 1 sounds so much better, doesn't it? If your father's support of your marriage is conditional on where your vows take place, He doesn't really care all that much about you or your marriage. I'm sorry. Commenter 1. Your wedding is about you and your husband and no one else. Commenter 2. Agreed. However, you made a massive tactical error planning out your wedding based on promises instead of cash on hand. My folks sent us some contributions to my wedding last fall, but it was given to us the previous Christmas well in advance of the wedding, and before we locked in plans. Unfortunately, I have friends who are getting married, and they had to cancel their plans because a parent who was going to be a key benefactor reneged on paying what they promised. This kind of thing happens, so you may need to cancel or scale back what you intended in the Bahamas and come up with a plan B that you can afford. OP. We can definitely afford this without him. Honestly, him not being a part of the wedding won't change much in the way of financially changing anything. Maybe a few less extravagant things, not that there are many. Commenter 1. Don't know if this is possible, but maybe your dad just can't afford to help you or go on the cruise anymore. When reading it, it kind of sounded like he was looking for a reason to object out of correctly guessed by you pride. Maybe it's about money on his end, not America. Or maybe he's just starting to petrify. OP. I don't think that's the problem. He just texted me and asked how much he needed to send me. So I feel like he just really doesn't want to leave the country. Commenter 1. I can only wonder how he'd react if you married a foreigner. Something foreign seed being planted in American soil. OP. That's the funniest thing. My fiancé is from Bosnia. The first thing my dad asked when I told him that was, is he going to bomb us? Commenter 2. Oh, I bet that's what this is really about. He's a racist. He's got just enough sense to realize he's not allowed to attack your choice of spouse, even though he hates the idea. So he's displacing his anger onto something more neutral, like the wedding venue. Yeah, you don't want him there, imho. OP. Honestly, wouldn't shock me. Commenter 1. I want my father there. What, this guy? We don't agree on much, to be honest. My father wasn't around much until my teenage years. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think his absence will really be the end of the world. He's throwing a tantrum because he wants to feel like he and his views is the most important part of the wedding. That's why he wants you to beg for him to change his mind. Don't bother. Just say, okay. And don't bother calling him again. After a while, he'll start trying to contact you, trying to convince you to convince him to change his mind. Just reply, sorry, Dad, I'm very busy trying to organize the wedding. Hope to see you there. But if you can't make it, that's fine. Honestly, his nationalism sounds more like mental illness. It's one thing to be proud of your birthplace, and another to refuse to ever leave the country. Don't indulge his brand of insanity. Have the wedding you want, and enjoy it. Or, if you really want to indulge him, get a jar of soil from a place you like, and sprinkle it on a piece of cloth. Then stand on it as you say your vows. There you go. You literally got married on American soil. Commenter 2. As an American, I can tell you this nationalism isn't that uncommon. It's pretty weird. But there are tons of people who think that every other country is garbage, and why bother traveling? It's very sad. Commenter 3. When it's so bad that you refuse to attend your daughter's wedding, that's pretty bad. Commenter 4. I think my favorite part was when he refused to attend a wedding that was outside of the US, but had to ask for clarification because he doesn't actually know which areas are US territories. Commenter 5. Racist bigots aren't exactly known for their educational achievements. This vital information. Commenter. Oh God, this is awful, but I'm dying laughing. So I have to tell you, I read your post to my fiancé, who is on your side, BTW. But his first comment after, what a baby your dad was, you never know, maybe he's got warrants. OP. Unsurprisingly, my father is a felon-law, and he's very far off from his sentence. He's no longer on parole, and laws are different when on a cruise when it comes to passports. We're going to the Bahamas, which has no such laws about felonies. Commenter 2. Well, there you have it. Many, but not all, countries will bar admission to foreign citizens with criminal records. And he may have a parole condition that he not leave the US. Edit. Thank you for all of the replies. I apologize for all the spelling and grammatical errors. I was upset and typing erratically on my cell phone. I texted him to let him know that while he's still invited, the wedding was going to continue without him if he doesn't come. He hasn't replied, but I will update if he does. Edit 2. This wedding is not financially reliant on whether my father agrees to go or not. He offered to pay for some stuff. I know how he is, that is, a bit flaky, so the only things he was paying for are what I deemed as not 100% necessary. Also, when I called to confirm pricing, it was pricing for his ticket for the cruise. My apologies for not being clear. Update. So long story short, he isn't coming. He is now saying that he's afraid to get on the boat. Or he has also said he doesn't want to be on a boat with my mother. Their split was anything but amicable. He's helped out financially, but not to the extent as promised. As I said in the original post, his money wasn't needed, but it would be helpful. My fiancé, now technically husband, and I decided that we would have a small ceremony to be legally married here in Iowa, since it was going to cost nearly 9x more to be legally married on the cruise ship. My father was invited and forgot to come even after being reminded multiple times. It really put where I stand with him into perspective. The actual wedding ceremony is just over a month away. Everything has been purchased, and the final touches are being taken care of. I asked my stepfather to walk me down the aisle, which he tearfully accepted. I'm extremely excited to be spending my wedding surrounded by the people that care about me. Thank you all for your kind words and wonderful advice. TLDR. My father is a coward and isn't coming to my wedding. Comments. Commenter. If you want to be really baller, take a really nice picture with your stepfather as he walks you down the aisle and post it all over social media so your father and everyone else can see it. I'm petty like that. OP. Oh, that's definitely going to happen. Shortly after the initial post, he tried to tell me he was about to lose his house trying to get out of helping me. Not even a week later, he's posting pictures of his brand new 2018 Dodge Challenger. I just laughed and blocked him on social media. Commenter. In your previous post, his demand that you try really hard to convince him sounded a lot like he realized he's being treated like a dad who wasn't there for a lot of your childhood. And he doesn't like it very much and wants you to suck up to him for a while. He wants tons of attention and to be given the credit for parenting that he didn't earn. OP. I think he realized quickly that I wasn't going to grovel for him to come. He has barely contacted me recently. Commenter. I just got to say, congratulations. Enjoy your ceremony, and don't worry about your father. Sounds like stepdad has it covered. OP. He does. He even made himself custom Converse to wear while walking me down the aisle. I'm wearing Converse too. And we're wearing mostly traditional wedding attire. But we chose to wear Converse because I've worn Converse every day since I was 11. OP has appeared and updated in the comments. 7 years later. OP here. After this, I went no contact with him. We spoke a few times due to my brother passing away, but it's been a full year of no contact. I had a beautiful wedding with people that love and care about me. I'm actually incredibly grateful that he did not show up. Some interesting tidbits. He threw a fit when I told him I was changing my last name. He illegally voted for Trump in the 2020 and 2024 elections. He believes that I'm part of a radical cult because I brought aid to people living in a food desert during COVID. So take that as you will. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.